Welcome back to the Whiskey Couch. This is the place where we just love to experiment with whiskey and food pairings. And your hosts in this video, South Africa's whiskey couple, myself, GUSTAV.
And ELNA. And you are watching Whisky Tasting and Food Pairing Review number 268.
We are visiting the Isle of Skye off the northwest coast of Scotland. This is our map of Scotland. Lowlands, Highlands, and then the Isles over here. Islay, Arran, Jura, and then Skye over there. So you can see Talisker, the Talisker distillery way over there off the northwest coast. That is where the distillery is situated, the distillery of Talisker. It was founded in 1830 and it's owned by Diageo. And today we're looking at the 10-year-old single malt classic standard edition from the Talisker distillery. It is a lightly peated, 22 ppms, which means 22 parts per million, phenol smoke, matured in ex-Bourbon casks.
And it's got an ABV of 45.8%.
Chill filtered, colouring added, no information. Nevertheless, the colour.
I love the color. The color, I would say, is burnished gold. I like the color.
Burnished gold. I'm just getting some juice on the glass so that you can perhaps see some legs forming there. I see some droplets beginning to form. So ELNA, I'm excited about this one. Lightly peated, so it's not really your favorite, the peated whiskies, but here we go.
Slanja.
Immediately you get that light peat
Peated,
smoke.
yes.
But it's sweet and it is light. It's not intrusive in any way, and there's even a bit of a floral aroma mixed in there.
Yeah, that's true. I also get some vanilla.
Lovely nose.
And caramel.
Ripe pears, seaweed. Quite contradictory. It's not like a coherent picture. It's elements from all over.
But with the sweetness of the vanilla and the caramel, I also get sea salt.
Seaweed, salted dried fish. The nose is of such a complex quality that it causes my mouth to water.
Okay.
So it's really, like you said in the previous video, it's inviting, it's drawing me in. So here we go, taste-wise.
Definitely sweet. Peat smoking.
You know what really struck me first was the saltiness.
Yeah, it's definitely salty, but the peatiness, but it's not overwhelming.
Almost briny, but together. The moment after you've tasted the brininess, there's a lovely sweet fruitiness. I would say citrus, which is quite characteristic of ex-Bourbon casks. So the sea element is there. This is known as, what is the name for a sea whiskey? There's a name for it. Oh man, my English is not this good. I'll tell you if I get the word a bit later. It's not sea, it's not oceanic, maritime whiskey.
Maritime, there you go.
So you've got the maritime influences, but then the fruitiness, also a bit of earthiness.
But also sweet honey. I get honey. Not overwhelming, but it's there.
And towards the finish,
I would say a long, warm finish.
with the peppery smoked fish and almost like marmalade. It's as if the citrus, the sweet citrus towards the end, it evolved into a citrus
but spicy
marmalade.
I would say
The wood spiciness
also
is there,
spiciness, yeah.
which balances it out.
But it's a long finish.
I would say this is, medium long finish. This is probably one of the most underrated whiskies.
Okay.
it should get a lot more attention. That is only my personal opinion. And if you do the drop in the palm test, which I've described in previous videos, you are left with smoky toasted bran muffin aromas. And once you've finished your glass, leave it for a couple of hours to dry completely. Then you are left, the empty glass test, with aromas that is reminiscent of dusty hay, malted barley, dried fruit. Quite an impressive whiskey. You mentioned the ABV of 45.8.
0.8. Thank you.
Always amazes me that they can do alcohol measurements in decimals.
Yes.
45.8. Why not just 46? So much easier. So after a few drops of water, will it open up the whiskey a bit more? Will this dram reveal some more aromas and flavor elements with a few drops of water? Peat smoke is a little bit softer.
I get sweetness, but sweet earthy.
Sweet earthiness, and then like a salty sea breeze.
Yes, yes. Definitely the salt.
Smooth.
Very smooth. Very smooth and sweet.
Salty, dried fish again, but a little bit more down-toned. So it's an interesting whiskey because you've got the sweetness and the saltiness.
Yeah. I like the combination.
It plays backwards and forwards. It's as if the saltiness and the sweetness is sort of fighting for the highest, for the most prominent spot in this whiskey. As if there's a little fight going on in there. The maritime and the orchid fruits fighting to get on top. I would say very impressive, and one of those whiskies that you do definitely need on your shelf. It is a bit pricey for a 10-year-old, 700 Rand, which translates to 35 pounds, whereas a 12-year-old in general is in the between 400 and 500. For a 10-year-old, it's a bit more expensive, but in this case, I would say it is a worthwhile addition. And a whiskey that I would love to have on my shelf all the time.
Even with the little bit of smokiness, I will drink it.
Yes, because it's not overwhelming.
It's not overwhelming, and the sweetness makes it more prominent for me, and I enjoy that more.
I always enjoy this Talisker 10-year-old single malt because of the complexity, the sweetness and the saltiness playing against each other. Our food snack for this whiskey, I thought we should go with the water, and I've got here salted salmon. Where is the pamphlet? It says it on the pamphlet. Let me just get it correctly. It is smoked salmon pate. So it's a bit salty on the pate, on a mini pretzel cracker, but with sun-dried tomato on top, to make it a bit more interesting. So there's a slight sweetness in the sun-dried tomato, and then the salty smokiness in the pate. And I do believe this is going to do the trick. Shall we try this?
Yes.
What a lovely snack.
The snack on its own is lovely.
And you can, it's just like bam, the fruitiness pops out because of the saltiness in the food
Very
snack.
good.
What a perfect pairing.
This is really a good pairing.
And to make it even more interesting, I was thinking maybe we should quickly compare it with another island whiskey from the island of Jura, the Superstition, which is also lightly peated. It is not the Prophecy, Jura Prophecy, which is heavily peated, 43% ABV. But let's do a quick check. Elna, after you've now tried this Talisker, Which of the two would you prefer if you now try the Jura Superstition and compare it
I love
to
the nose.
island whiskies, two maritime whiskies, two whiskies from distilleries on the coast. Different islands, the one a bit north and Jura a bit south. Talisker. Salty, sweet, lightly peated. Very different nose.
Absolutely.
Very different
Very
nose.
different nose.
The nose here for the immediate impact is like farmyard earth.
But also slightly sweet.
Sweet.
But not overwhelming sweet. More
Salty.
honey. More honey.
Honey, seashells. And on the palate, I need to just give my palate a wee bit of rest. What is your initial impression?
No, it's a wow.
Which one would you prefer?
The Jura.
The Jura.
The Jura, yeah.
And I'm guessing it's sweeter.
It's sweeter. Yeah. It's definitely sweeter. If you don't compare the two, Talisker will be sweet, but not as
Fruity,
sweet.
earthy.
But if you compare, I like the sweetness.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Much less saltiness.
Yeah.
So this one will be not as complex because of the salty, sweet interplay. Easy drinking, but a bit less complex.
Yes. But on its own, if I only drink Talisker and do not do the comparison, I will enjoy Talisker.
So I would say the day that I'm in a mood for salty, sweet, salted fish, I'll go there. And if I'm in the mood for a more fruity, lightly peated,
yes, we'll go for
I will
Jura.
go for Jura. What an interesting comparison. Well, this is it. Talisker 10-year-old single malt here at the Whiskey Couch. Until our next video, slange.
Slange.